Okay, story time. So this is the story of how I had got my first job. I've had many jobs. At one point, I think I was working 3 jobs. But this will be the story of my first job, which was McDonald's. No shade on McDonald's or anything like that, but I will say this: there's negatives and there's positives. So working at McDonald's, I would say, is a really good first job for, starting off being a teenager, especially, 16 and up. It's a good job. Some McDonald's even hire at 14. I actually worked at a McDonald's, actually hired at 14. So, how I got the job at McDonald's. Well, starting off when we first moved to the city I live in now, which is Garfield, it's a city in Cleveland. Um, I was 8 or something when we first moved to Garfield. I went down a very bad path. I started to hang out with people that were not good for me, and I was very confused. I was a very confused kind of kid. Did not know what I wanted, did not know what I was looking for, and I also struggled with a lot of identity kind of thing, I would say. Not even identity, like sexuality, really. So at this point, I'm like super confused. I don't know what I want. And I started to steal out of stores. Um, first it started with just little things like, candy bars, the basic stuff that people steal, like little things. And it kind of gave me a rush of, oh, hey, this I'm stealing, it's a different kind of feeling. It's a weird feeling. So from there, it just progressed, and I started hanging out with these kids, and I'm not gonna name any names because I'm not like that. I don't, believe in just bashing people. I believe in talking about myself, not other people. And so I started stealing out of Kmart. I did that very periodically, and one day I got caught. I got arrested, and I was literally in jail for like, I want to say, like barely even an hour. My mother came and got me. I did community service. I did my time, and I changed my ways. I cut off people who were bad for me. And I started to try to focus more on me and try to focus on being more positive. So, I had met this older man. Cannot remember his name, but he lived very close to us, and I started working for him. And he needed help cleaning out his house, so I did that for a while. He paid me, helped him clean his house up. He was an older man. He lost his wife. His wife had died and everything, and so I helped him out. That's how I made money until you know got him until I got my first job. So I did that for a while. I stopped working for him because it kind of became kind of creepy. I don't think he had any intentions or anything, but I just didn't feel comfortable, so I stopped working for him. And when I started working for him, I was like, I want to say 14 or 15. And then so I started working for him, and my father would give me money every month, so that's how I kind of got by. Because my father was on Social Security, so he would just try to give me what he could, and still try to take care of, us and everything. So um, that was that for a while. So I turned 15, and I remember they were having open interviews. And so I went to an open interview, and I remember that I met the store manager at the time. It was Kim, and it was, I forgot her name. I think her name was Sarah. Was it Sarah or Kelly? I can't remember her name, but it was another lady there. She was the assistant manager. And so I sat down. I got real professional. I know how to clean up real nice, and I did that interview. They really liked me. They wanted to hire me, but that McDonald's at the time was not hiring anyone 14 or 15. So I need to be 16 to get the job there. So she was really nice. She really liked me. I really like you. She said, hey, when you turn 16, come back, come see me. I'll hire you. So when people say that, again, it's my first job. I don't know nothing about work or anything like that. So I said, hey, whatever. So then, from the age of 15, I just kind of tried to just, keep to myself and kind of like not do anything. Pretty much stay in the house for most of the time. Um, and I turned 16, and I remember what she had said. And, at first I was thinking, hey, I'm 16 now. I can get a job anywhere. But I was like, hey, she did promise me, so let's see what happens. So I went back up there. She was still working there as a store manager, which was really crazy. And I came back to her and I asked her, did she remember me? And she did. And she said, she told me I had a face that you cannot forget. So I was like, oh, okay, wow. So she hired me on the spot. And then began my journey of working at McDonald's. Um, like a couple of days later, they get your uniform together. I got my uniform. I started working there. And keep in mind, my first job. And for some reason, I was less shy outside of work, but I was more shy in work. It was very weird, and I did it. I was very slow. I was very, very slow. I didn't know anything, um, and I was just always nervous. Customers intimidated me. Employees intimidated me. Everybody just intimidated. It was a very scary experience for me in the beginning. So I wanted to, I want everybody to like me, and I wanted to be perfect and everything. And I would do what employees said. I would do what anybody ever said. Like literally, employees would, um, they would push their work off onto me, and I would just do it just because I just wanted. I felt like, oh well, you know, you know, I wanted, I want to be good. I wanted, whatever. So I did that for a while, and I still kind of slow at the time. If you ever worked at McDonald's, you know what I'm talking about. I used to put quarter pounder meat on sound like McDoubles and stuff. If you worked at McDonald's, you know what I'm talking about. And I didn't know. Like I was bad. I was terrible in the beginning. I'm not afraid to admit that I was terrible. I was probably the worst employee there. And so one day, so that went on for a while. I got a little bit better, but I was still doing what everybody said. So one day, this manager came to me. It was a guy. Came in, and he's kind of a drunk a little bit. He would put like alcohol in like his drinks and stuff, and he would be at work like kind of drunk and stuff. But nobody snitched. It was never a thing of snitching. Um, and he came to me one day and he said that I don't think this is working out for you. He said, because he said, you don't speak up, you don't speak your mind. He said, you don't seem like you want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't seem like you want to be here, this and that. And he said, I need you to, he said, I'm going to have to tell the manager that, she needs to let you go because you need to try harder. You need to, you know, be better, have more confidence. And when he said that to me, I cried. I'll be honest, I cried. And when I got home, I cried. But his words shook me though. Like it shook me in a way where it was like a positive effect. And from that day, actually by him saying that, I made a vow to myself. I said, hey, I'm going to do better. I'm going to be more confident. I'm going to be the best I can be and depend on me and not depend on anybody else. So I, did that for a while and I came back to work and I rocked out. Like I learned everything. I got better, faster. I stopped doing what employees said. I started just, doing my manager said because, you want to respect your managers. And they started to love me. Like literally, they gave me so many hours. I was working hours like crazy. Like I was 16. They were getting like violations for giving me hours. I was working like 13 like hour shifts, and then they started to kind of cut my hours back. And so I did that for a while, and then they promoted me. I got promoted to crew trainer. I was crew trainer because I got really good, and I was there for about I want to say a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and then they built another McDonald's. It was even closer to my house. It was owned by the same owner, and I wanted a transfer, and so I got transferred. I worked. So that's when her name was Joy. So she was Joy when the store manager was Joy. It was actually a different store manager before Joy, but Joy came after. Pretty much, I'm just gonna say Joy because Joy was pretty much the store manager when pretty much I got there. So I worked there for a while, and again, I was really good, and I was still getting violations. I was still working crazy shifts. So then I turned, no, I was still 16 for a while, and I turned 17. I was still getting crazy hours. And they was like, we can't wait till you turn 18. We're gonna give you all the hours you want. And so I did that for a while at 17, and I literally remember just stacking up money, just making money, 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 money. I had a problem because I like to spend money too, and I would literally I would blow through my checks. I can't even tell you where half of my money went. Like, I don't even remember. Like, I was just still I was giving people money, and so-called friends, when not really your friends. And I remember being there and just, very confused. And at that point, I was struggling with sexuality. I was struggling because, coming from a Muslim family, being gay is very sinful. It is very against all. It's a sin. So that's how I felt. I never could understand why, and I did not know why. So I just decided one day, hey, this feeling, I don't want to feel this. So I decided I'm going to be straight, and I'm going to just pretend like I never felt that way. Um, all while I was there, I met this boy. He was there, and I kind of liked him, and he was very flirtatious. Um, he said he was straight, but he wasn't. That's a later story. I actually will make another video about that if you want to hear that. If you want to hear that story, like and subscribe to this channel and like this video. And if you get this video to at least 30 likes, I will tell that story about that boy that said he was straight. But he was very flirtatious. I ended up liking him. I ended up getting his number. I will tell you that in the story one day. But this is pretty much about McDonald's. So I did McDonald's for a while, and I ended up working at, how many McDonald's? One, two, about three, four different McDonald's. Then that's a later story. But I'm going to talk about pretty much this McDonald's that I worked at. This was the new McDonald's, and I did that for a while. And I ended up doing really good, and I ended up having this a manager there. She was like kind of a dyke, and we had a fallout. That's another story in itself too. It's a very long story, but this is pretty much how I worked for McDonald's, and it was a very good experience. It was a stepping stone to reach my different heights. I ended up becoming a manager at a different job, different story. But I was a manager at a young age. I was a manager at 16. I can tell you stories that will blow your mind. And it's crazy. It's crazy. From the age of 16 to now I'm 22, I've seen a lot. I've seen it all. I won't say I've seen it all because there's a lot more to see in life, I can tell you that. But I've seen a lot. Especially being a manager at such a young age. It was a lot of power for such a young, age. And I did what I needed to do. And, I was the boy who they loved. I did everything there. Like, I literally, like most people that was working there would only do one thing. They were only good at one thing. Maybe they would do grill or table or back cash. If you worked at McDonald's, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or front line. I did everything. And actually, at the one McDonald's before I got, transferred to the new one, I was actually doing manager work. I would be counting the safe, and I would be putting in the stuff. I was helping them with orders, which again, I was not supposed to because I was not a manager. I was just a crew trainer. But I'm glad I got that experience. And if I can tell anyone, um, if you're young and you want a first time job, especially if you live in a suburb. If you live in the suburbs, you can easily get a job. Most suburb McDonald's hire at 14. So if you want to get a job, you want to start off getting some money, and you want to be able to pay for your own stuff, which is not hard. You can do part time. McDonald's is very flexible with your schedule. It's not hard work. A lot of people come in there and say it's so hard. It's not. It's easy. I can run McDonald's like the back of my head. It's very easy. It's one of the easiest jobs I have. So if you want to, buy any first time job, McDonald's is a perfect job if you want a first time job, and it's great to get your foot in the door. And then, because most places don't want to hire you if you don't have experience, but McDonald's will help you out with that. And yeah, so that is how I worked for McDonald's. And if you want me to tell you the crazy stories that happened at McDonald's, a lot of crazy stories, also how I end up working for Save a Lot, Walgreens, Rite Aid, and I worked for Arby's for a very short period of time. But if you want to hear them stories, which is crazy, I will tell you. Just show me a little love on this video. You know, I'm not trying to make this video perfect. No editing, no nothing. I want this to be real. I'm gonna be real, and I'm just gonna tell you my life story. And my life story is crazy, but that is how I ended up working for McDonald's. Okay. If you want to see more videos, just can subscribe, like this video, tell me what you think, comment below. And also, I will tell you a story down the road of also how I worked for Cedar Point. All right. Good day.